Starting recording. By attending this meeting, you consent to being recorded. Recording. Okay, so it said you recorded too. Okay, now I'm not big anymore. Now we're the same. We'll see how it turns out.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very sad, pitiful day after probably the most painful loss in years. I mean, we were little kids the last time we felt a painful loss like this. But I'm Drew Sample, and I'm joined, as always, by Andrew T. Evans.
Hell.
And man, there's just so much to say, man. So yesterday I was really not feeling good. Like, honestly, the day started out with my car not starting, so I had that same issue, and I never changed the part like I should have. So then I went and I had to push my car out of the driveway into the street. I had to get my neighbor to steer it, and of course, when a car won't start, it's hard to steer it, especially when I have electrical power steering. I guess all the new cars are. It's stupid. And so yeah, so I was already not like running late for the game. I was gonna go work out in the morning, get my chores done at the farm, and I couldn't. Had like everything was not. So I was feeling off, and I texted you and Dylan. I was like, man, I'm thinking about their game with Indiana and how they barely lost. And then I'm thinking about how they just blew out Northwestern. They actually put 50 points on the board. And I don't have a good feeling about today, man. Like, I'm feeling, maybe it's just the PTSD. And like I said blowout the week before, and I'm not feeling blowout. Like, I'm like, this isn't good. I mean, dude, Tuesday's presser was electric. I mean, like, I was so pumped up after listening to Will Howard. Like, dude, everything going into this game was like, oh, it's gonna be a great game. And no, it wasn't. It was a sloppy start. We turned the ball over, or I think we turned the ball over twice, didn't we? And one was deep in our own territory as a bad pick, which is where they got that touchdown. Jaden Fielding again couldn't hit field goals. Which he seems to not be able to hit field goals in big games a lot of times, at least late in the season when it matters. It looked like we weren't ready to play in the cold, and they were. Like, it looked like we couldn't handle the cold weather, which isn't a good sign, especially if we do get the home game, which, thanks to Kyle McCord, it looks like we might be getting a home playoff game, which is even more pitiful. Everything I thought was going to happen yesterday didn't. I thought Clemson would win. They lost at the end. I thought Texas A&M would win. They lost. I did not think Syracuse would win, so that was a pleasant surprise. I was just beyond upset. I went around. I've gotten so many text messages today about why Ryan Day needs to get fired. And I'm like, well, we still got a playoff game. Well, let's see how we do in the playoff game. No, fire him now. The guy at the auto parts store, I did fix my car, by the way, so I did feel good about I got accomplished something today. And it just was, it was just, I woke up multiple times. I mean, not just from being drunk, but just like couldn't sleep because of the loss. I didn't even play in the freaking game, but it's like, oh man, it would have been fun to go watch us get a rematch with Oregon. That's not going to happen at this point unless we can play them in the playoff, and that's if we can win the first game of the playoff. Which, man, I'm a doomer. I'm a doomer right now when it comes to Ohio State football. So that's where I'm at today. Andy, how are you feeling?
This was absolutely the worst loss to Michigan I have ever experienced in my 47 years. And that is including the 93 game where they got shut out by 4 touchdowns, 95 game where Tim Biakabatuka ran roughshod over Ohio State's supposedly staunch defense. And the following season, 96, when Ohio State really had a year that nobody expected because they had lost everybody from that 95 team that were stellar. And 96, they worked their way back to the second-ranked team in the country. and their offense was explosive, and they couldn't score a damn touchdown in 96. And the whole Sean Springs slip, Ty Street's long touchdown catch and run up the middle of the field, that was the only touchdown of the game, and it was a final score almost like yesterday of 13-9. You'd have to go back to 93 for the last time that an unranked Michigan team beat Ohio State. You'd have to go all the way back to 1956 when an unranked Michigan team beat Ohio State on their own turf. And in 1961, Drew, that was the only time since rankings became an official thing, which were first released by the AP in 1936. In 1961, Ohio State and Michigan only met one time before yesterday, when Ohio State was second in the country and Michigan was unranked. And that 61 team not only beat Michigan by 30 points, final score of 50-20, but they would go on to win the Football Writers Association of America national title. Now, national title hopes are still possibly relevant.
Different picture. We're still in the playoff. Now we might get a home game.
I don't
How
think
are we going to play in the cold?
I don't think the cold had anything to do with it yesterday. I don't. It was not because of the cold. Personally, I don't think that the cold weather had anything to do with it. It had to do with Ryan Day's approach to this game. And it has been 100% completely wrong. Okay? After the game, I went to Michigan's post-game press conference. I didn't go to Ohio State's because I didn't care to hear what Ryan Day or a couple of players would have to say. And that was exactly it. Ryan Day, Cody Simon, Will Howard. Those are the only three people who came out and talked. And I knew it was going to be that way. And I thought, I'm going over to Michigan's post-game press conference. I want to hear what they have to say. And they were all, first of all, they were pretty flippant. We'll talk about the brawl. We'll get into that here in a minute. And I'll tell you about basically what they all had to say. But they all had a confidence and a swagger when talking about their approach to this game. And that's not Ryan Day, okay? Ryan Day puckers up and he drills it into his players and coaching staff's heads so hard that they have to win this game, that they pucker up, they play tight, they play not to lose. Sharon Moore and them, they had nothing to lose. You and I just talked about it. One of your Michigan buddies said, Ohio State choked. And that was it.
They did choke.
Ohio State choked.
It was embarrassing how much they choked. I mean, like we had like the one good drive. We were passing all over them at the end of the second half, and I was feeling good. And I don't know what speech Ryan Day gave at halftime, but it wasn't a good one because they went back to looking like crap.
They didn't score, period.
Fielding couldn't hit a field goal to save his life.
Yep.
And I thought it would be us running up the score, us going for two, us like making a statement. And we did make a statement, but it just wasn't a good one.
Yeah, it was
not
a
statement that we can't beat Michigan anymore. We made a statement that, I mean, all the fuel for John Cooper 2.0 is there.
100%. We are reliving the John Cooper days. Okay. The last time they dropped 4 in a row was when? Oh yeah, John Cooper in his first 4 years at Ohio State. That's the last time that the Buckeyes lost to Michigan. So yesterday's effort, at least offensively, just everything was off. Will Howard was off.
The line, we kept running it up the middle against their two best defensive linemen.
The worst
I didn't understand that
game plan I have seen. And there's another thing. Somebody said it perfectly. In fact, it was our buddy, Mr. Chris Stefanik, said this. And he's right. Ryan Day, you let everybody out there, social media land, calling you soft, calling you Ohio soft, calling out your team. When it comes to the big games, you're soft and you stink and you can't coach and your boys, ha. you got goaded into a fight. You let Michigan goad you into a fight. And so your answer was to try and prove that you were tough by trying to do the same thing that Michigan does well, and that was run the football. But and instead, excuse me, instead of at least saying, all right, we're going to run, but we're going to think of different ways outside of the box to run the ball. Because if we try and run up the middle against two stout defensive linemen, one of whom some people are projecting as a top 10 pick, at least run away from them. And they did a couple of times, and they were successful when they ran outside. But this game plan of
they kept running to the short side of the field too.
How tough we are by running the ball up the middle lost you the game, Ryan Day. Your pride lost you the game. Your approach to this game lost you the game, Ryan Day. I absolutely put this entire loss completely squarely on Ryan Day's shoulders. Not because he's the head coach, but because he was insistent on trying to prove how tough his team was, and it came back and backfired in his face.
Yeah, there's a lot of talks that he was calling plays. There's rumors that Chip Kelly's looking for a new job. I mean, there's it's crazy this time of year. I mean, this time last year, the very next day, we had all those players hit the portal. I'm not sure what's going on in the locker room Michigan week, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it's
well, and like you said, during the Tuesday at the Woody, I was fired up too. I believed it. Jack Sawyer, Will Howard, those guys were like, we are amped, pumped, primed, ready to play.
So what happened in between? I mean, what happened with Thanksgiving?
I don't think there was nothing that happened. They were excited and wanted to play. But once again, Ryan Day shoved down their throat. It is so important to win this game. He put so much emphasis on winning this game that it tightened them up. They did not play loose and free. They didn't play their normal offensive game. We all saw that. Essentially, what am I trying to say here? I think it was just his approach completely wrong, tightened him up, and Sharon Moore was like, hey, you know what? You can do this.
That dude potentially saved his career after a huge letdown season. Yeah. Now they got NIL money flowing in. Larry Ellison and Dave Portnoy are dumping millions of dollars into the program.
Mm-hmm. But Sharon Moore was like, look, you've got
looked and before
he instills
the game,
confidence. Ryan Day instills fear.
When it was weird,
and that's the wrong approach.
When they were coming out, Sharon Moore did not look ready on his face, but the Michigan players did. They looked fired up and ready to go. And I almost sent a text to you and Dylan like, Sharon Moore does not look like he's going to have a good day today. Sure enough, I was wrong about that shit, and I'm glad I didn't send that message, but man, was I wrong. One of my buddies sent me a text, and he sent some video of the game, and it wasn't good. And he sent me a text, and he goes, don't worry, Drew. We all thought what you said with your prediction. And I was like, we did.
I was
you didn't.
I honestly, I was confident this year. Drew, and you know me, pessimistic Peter, I don't think Ohio State's going to cover the spread. They might get beat. Who knows? We'll see. And then they come out and look gangbusters. Yesterday was totally different. I actually felt confident that there is no way in hell, especially once again, after a Tuesday at the Woody and hearing Will Howard and Jack Sawyer and some of those other guys talk, I felt confident that there is no way in hell that they are going to let an unranked 6-5 Michigan team walk into their house and beat them. And after yesterday, okay, it completely, for 3 years now, Drew, I've stuck up for Ryan Day. I've tried to say, hey, look, I know sometimes you're just going to lose in a rivalry. That's just how it goes. Okay. But look at all the other great wins that he's had here at Ohio State. He's had a great
last week.
career.
Last week even.
Yeah. And your one damn loss this year was on the road to the number 1 ranked team in the country by a single point.
And you were about to get a chance to get redemption in a neutral playing field.
And
now you don't get shit. You're lucky to get a home game in the playoffs. And then you got a tough road ahead. You got to wait. You got to play an extra game.
Yeah.
Which in reality, if you're not playing the championship game, maybe not. But we could all, I mean, if they come out in the playoff and look good, but at this point, I feel like he has to get to the national championship.
At the very least.
He just has to get there to save his job. But I think at this point, a lot of people are saying, well, who else are you going to get? It's like,
they're going
to throw money at someone. They're going to throw money at someone. I don't know who.
Here's the thing, Drew. I don't want to just go get someone and go get Curt Cignetti. Bring in Curt Cignetti. No, I don't want Curt Cignetti. I don't want Dan Lanning. Okay. I don't want any of those guys. I want a Jim Tressel or an Urban Meyer. Okay. Somebody who is from the state of Ohio, or at least from the area, or at least coached at Ohio State or something, to where they truly understand this rivalry. Ryan Day says, oh, I get it. I understand. No, you do not.
I don't think he does. I think he understands how upset we get when we lose, but I don't think he understands it.
He does, but he didn't grow up here in Ohio. Okay.
No.
He did not from a newborn baby get ingrained and instilled in his brain growing up what it actually is like to be in this rivalry. Now, I get it that 2 years under Urban Meyer as one of his assistant coaches, and actually being on the inside and getting a front row seat to how Urban approached the rivalry. I mean, Ryan Day at least has that over most Ohioans, that he actually saw Urban preparing for this game and what that was like, and the players and the rest of the coaching staff, all that. He's got that over me too. But you know what I've got over you, Ryan Day? I've got 47 years of growing up in this state in Central Ohio and knowing what the rivalry is actually all about. You do not. He does not understand truly what this rivalry means.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't know. I mean, I hope he's I don't know. I mean,
he's not happy.
No, I'm sure he's not happy, but I think that, like, it is true. Like, you got to make sure that they're having fun. I mean, this should have been the most fun game of the season. You get to kick Michigan's ass, and instead it turned into like a close game that shouldn't have been close.
No.
Just like running right up the middle at their best two guys, not getting anything done.
Dumb.
Just bad play calling. I don't know. I am we're gonna see what happens. I mean, we're just gonna see what happens. And like the unfortunate thing too is like that, if they do fire Ryan Day, the transfer portal opens up, who are we gonna lose? I don't know. I think it's like the whole idea, it just stinks. Like, it just stinks. There's really no good thing about it, except maybe that we're going to be extra motivated in the playoff, but we'll see what happens, man.
I don't think there's going to be, no, I disagree. I mean, they might win a first round game, but
it's at this point, it's feeling like it's going to be an early exit. It feels like their heart's not in it.
Yep.
I mean, I hope we're wrong, but that's just, I think that the whole Buckeye Nation was waiting for this game. It was like we've been waiting for it for a whole year.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, fuck Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And, I feel bad for him in a sense, but I don't. Like, what's going on. You got one of the best teams in the country. We just spent $25 million. You got Chip Kelly, your mentor, to be the offensive coordinator. And it seemed like he was still calling plays. It's just they've been really inconsistent all year. It felt like they hadn't put it together. I felt like the Indiana game they kind of did, and I felt like, oh man, this is it. We're gonna go and be gangbusters against Michigan. This is gonna be a huge game. And then like we started out kind of slow, and then it just didn't really get. Once we scored that touchdown, but then like there was no score at all in the third quarter. I mean, we played Michigan's game. We played the way to keep Michigan in that game and to give them a chance. I mean,
Mistakes and squandered opportunities. You know, when you throw an interception deep in your own territory after a goal line stand by the defense, stopping Michigan on 4th and 1 at the beginning of the second quarter.
Caleb Downs with that huge hit. That was awesome.
Y'all, he came up and crunched him. That was, we were.
It was so.
Oh my God, did you see that? But you then 3 plays later throw an interception, squandered opportunity that leads to Michigan's first score of the game. You pick off. What was it? You pick off, no, wait.
I think it forced a fumble.
A fumble?
I don't remember. It's so weird. I can't remember the game because I'm still so upset.
There was. Hold on. I can't believe I have to go back and look at the.
Because we're so emotional right now, Andy. We're not happy. I just remember I just got drunk and I just remember saying, "Fuck Ohio State." F Ohio State. F Ryan Day.
Let's see here. There was when was that? God, I thought it was in the second quarter. But there was the exchange where Caleb Downs, when he got his interception. That Michigan, Caleb Downs gets an interception in Michigan territory, and then Jaden Fielding misses his second field goal of the game. Yeah, squandered opportunity. There was that exchange, though. I swear it was like.
It was in the first half. I remember that.
Say it was in the first half where, and maybe that was it. Was that it? Let me see. Maybe it was in the second half when Caleb Downs got an interception. It must have been in the. Maybe was that the third quarter?
Yeah, we turned the ball over twice. They turned the ball over twice.
Yeah. Let's see. This is terrible fucking podcasting right now. It was third quarter. Will Howard threw his second pick of the game in Michigan territory, and then Caleb Downs got the interception back the very next drive. Or, the following possession for Michigan. So Will Howard throws a pick, but Caleb Downs gets it back, and then you miss a damn field goal. And on top of that, I mean, it was basically a 3 and out. Here's how you start, okay? This drive after Caleb Downs' interception at the Michigan 16-yard line, Drew. Quinshawn Judkins, rush up the middle, 0 yards. Then Will Howard completed a pass to G. Scott Jr., a short pass out in the flat.
Should have passed him more in the flats, though. Like, there was a lot of opportunity to pass the tight end. There was a lot of opportunity. Like, I didn't understand what the game plan was. Like, it just was so bizarre to me the way we got out coached, and it didn't take much. Again, the second year in a row. It
was just stupid.
Sharon Moore is 2-0 against Ryan Day now. Because remember, Harbaugh wasn't even there last year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was, technically Sharon Moore. He was the acting head coach because Harbaugh had been suspended for 3 games. But, I mean, it's just, it's a mindset thing. Ryan Day doesn't have it. Day doesn't have it. So, what was even more pitiful, though, Drew, was the brawl afterwards, and hearing basically Sharon Moore tried to put the onus on Ohio State as well. that was just as much Ohio State's fault as it was Michigan's fault. So you're trying to say, hey, Ohio State should have shown more composure as well about the situation. And you're planting your flag. You're allowing your guys to plant your flag in the middle of Ohio State's field. And yet you're also then saying, well, but both sides should have. He's trying to say, yeah, we should have, but they should have too. No.
Yeah.
Screw that. Dude, you just tried to completely disrespect us by planting your flag in the middle of our field, and you expect us to not do anything about it?
I thought it was weird too when the scuffle with Jeremiah Smith on the sideline. It seemed like their coach shoved Jeremiah Smith, and I felt like there wasn't. It doesn't really matter because even if we would have gotten better yards, I think we did score on that drive, but it didn't matter because we weren't doing enough to win. We just went out there, crapped on our legs, pooped our pants, and just called it a day. We just didn't even. It's like we didn't even care.
Yep.
And I know those guys cared. They came back. They made all this big deal about coming back an extra year, but it just was it was just a sad performance. There's no better way to talk about it. It was just a pitiful performance. In reality, like the Michigan fans, they just liked that they won. They're like, that was an ugly game. Like it's not even like Michigan looked really good against us. We just looked really bad. And I don't know. I don't have much else to say. I think we needed to address it. I think that thankfully around the league there's so much chaos. Kyle McCord coming in and beating Miami, beating the U, having a great day. Which that was the other thing I told all these people, man, if you can make bets on prop bets, McCord throwing picks today seems like a really guarantee. No picks. He had a great day, almost threw for 400 yards.
Well, did you see where they asked him afterwards? They asked Kyle McCord specifically, do you kind of feel take solace in the fact, I'm paraphrasing, not direct quote, but basically it was like, do you feel better or do you take solace in the fact or something along those lines, the fact that you just pulled off a crazy upset over Miami and shut them out of the ACC championship game while your former team just lost to their arch rival at home. And I guess his response was like, well, everything comes full circle. So yeah, he was enjoying it, man. I guarantee you he enjoyed seeing Ohio State lose. And basically well, you should have stuck with me. Now, is he going to win the game? I don't know because of the game plan that was called. But going back to Will Howard, even he didn't play well.
He didn't play well.
Made some mind-boggling decisions throwing the ball. I don't think that a lot of the play calls, there were times where he had guys open over the middle and he hit them, but there were other times, a couple of drops, in some of these calls to throw short out to the flat. It was just an awful game plan cooked up. But even then, there were times where Will Howard just did not seem like Will Howard. And I think it all goes back once again to Ryan Day drilling into their heads, don't lose, don't lose, don't lose. And so they play not to lose. Instead of, damn it, let's go out and win this one today, boys.
Make a statement like they did against Indiana. And you see Indiana put up 66 points on Purdue yesterday.
I didn't see the final score. I figured they won. What was it?
It's like 66-0.
Oh, my God.
They went out there and made a statement because they're trying to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think that it just was like, I don't know. Again, we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll give it a week. Right now, that stings, and it's 4 years in a row, and it's just like it doesn't even I don't even want to watch football. Man, what have I been doing with my time following this? What have I been doing? going to these practices. I started building my e-commerce site for my business today. I just try to like distract myself with positive things, fix my car. I'm just really disgusted. I'm very disappointed. Um, I I don't know. I really don't have much else to say. I think, there's so much, but at the end of the day, they just didn't get it done, and Michigan just wanted it more. That's all it was. They wanted it more. They played with freedom. They played to win. They played their style of football. They imposed their will on Ohio State. And that's it.
Yep.
Again, they kicked our ass in the running game. I think and it's just so frustrating, man. Like I don't
think with your words. You can spit it out. Yeah, I mean, once again, it was the most disgraceful, embarrassing loss I've ever seen to Michigan ever.
we didn't even get any sacks. We didn't even give up sacks in that game.
Yeah, no, neither team got a sack. And, the fact that, they
had 172 rushing yards to our 77.
Yeah. And that one play where Will Howard threw the interception to Makari Page, I mean, he had all day to throw the ball. All day. And then he threw to, I think it was Ibuka, and the dude jumped the route.
There was a lot of forced stuff. They held on to the ball too much. There wasn't a lot of play action. There wasn't like.
It was a terrible game plan. Period.
We're gonna run up the middle.
Run up the middle.
And we're gonna keep running up the middle.
Perplexing, man. Baffling, but I agree with you. I'm almost like, what? Why am I still doing this? Why am I still watching? I mean, back in the 90s, in the John Cooper era, late 80s, 90s, and 2000.
I quit rooting for Ohio State and I started rooting for Michigan State.
I didn't go that far, but I was still a fan. I was a rabid fan, but I was young then, obviously. I mean, that was when I was like from 11 to 23 years old. So I was still a rabid fan, still held out hope every year. Damn it. We got to beat those bastards. Now, after yesterday, I'm sitting here going, I'm not sure about this anymore. I'm really not. Am I still going to be an OSU fan? Yeah. Am I going to pay attention to recruiting and NIL, and they've got to pay this high school recruit $10 million like you did Michigan to come play for us? A guy that is in your own backyard and committed to frickin' LSU, and you've got to pay a hometown guy $10 million to come play for you? Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Not saying that Ohio State didn't pay some guys to come play football for him, but the fact that you had to pay a dude from your own state $10 million to come play for you is absurdly pathetic. But it's stuff like that we got to sit here and talk about, flipping kids millions of dollars in NIL money to come play football for you. This is dumb. It's getting stupid, Drew. I'm really just tired of it. And then compound yesterday the fact that, yes, Ohio State, you've got $20 million roster. You've got a former NFL head coach and college head coach as your offensive coordinator.
And you still can't make any damn play calls.
Was this Chip making the calls? Was it Ryan Day making the calls? We don't know at this point. Somebody's going to find out, but it ain't going to be me, because I really don't care. You lost the game, period. I'm putting it all on Ryan Day's shoulders.
He is the head coach. It's all on his shoulders. That's what he signed up for.
And you're the head coach. It's on your shoulders. You take the blame. But Ryan Day, you really take the blame for this loss, because your mindset, your approach, the whole nine, completely wrong. And after seeing yesterday, the fact that I felt as confident as I did about Ohio State winning that game, Drew, and they didn't, I'm just like, I'm kind of here now. Arm's length, just stay right there. Ohio State football, you're cool. I'll kind of hang out and talk to you every now and again, but for the most part, just I might be taking kind of a break as far as really being a fan.
Michigan's making us rage quit Ohio State. It's
Who's
not
that?
really Michigan. Michigan showed up and played good for Michigan.
Yeah.
But
they earned it. They earned that win.
They did earn it, and it's embarrassing, man.
And Buckeye fans, all of this cheating stuff. I think right now there's probably a contingent that are like, oh my God, NCAA, please take away their wins. Please take away their national title. Please.
Why?
This is going to give us so much ability to turn around and talk shit back to you.
But it's like, what gave us more ability is
right
just
now that Ohio State fans truly have to try and hang their hat on is the NCAA revoking Michigan's wins and national title, which I don't think is going to happen with the
They're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to. We can say, oh, he cheated, that's why. And it's like, I mean, I don't know how much of the Connor Stallion sign stealing had anything to do with it. I mean, to be honest, it's like, I'm tired of hearing people talk about it. I mean, right. I watched the
Netflix.
I watched some of that documentary, and
I haven't watched it yet. I do want to check it out, but
it's just it's just kind of it's just old. I mean, we can't beat Michigan. Unfortunately, that's just how it is right now, and it stinks. But that is what's going on. We can't beat Michigan. It is what it is. Okay, maybe we can save some face. We can make a run for the title. I'd be surprised at this point, though, man. Like, I think in the really big games, we've come up short, and they were games that we should have won. We should have beat Oregon. We should have beat Michigan. We had every opportunity to, and we just beat ourselves. 2 games, and it stinks for all those seniors. It stinks for the fans. It stinks for everybody. But I mean, here's the thing. We had 20 years of dominance, and then we're getting a taste of what it's all about. And we haven't lost as much as Michigan did. But at the same time, that is kind of the scary thing. Let's say we fire Ryan Day, then we get somebody like Rich Rod or Brady Hoke. I mean, because the fact is, if Ryan Day does get fired, that portal's going to open up, and we're going to probably lose a bunch of players. I think there's a lot of people that don't like how critical Ohio State fans are. They don't like our expectations of being the best team. And and a lot of Ohio State fans are fucking shitty. So it's like, it is what it is. I mean, either way, Ohio State's, fans and are going to get what they deserve. And I think that it stinks, but hopefully, we feel better about things in the next week or so. I mean, it still stings quite a bit, and it's going to sting for about a week minimum. But we get next week, we get the conference champion. When is the first playoff game?
When I think it's
after
December,
Navy Army, right?
I want to say it's December 20th, because the conference championship games are this weekend, the 7th, and then I believe it starts on basically 2 weeks later. So, and I think it's a Friday night, but nonetheless, I mean, that's going to be his one saving grace, is getting into the to the playoff. And quite frankly, if he doesn't at the very least play for the national championship, and at that, I think he has to make a loss in the national championship, a competitive loss. If it's a blowout or he doesn't even get there, he's gone.
Yeah,
he's gone. And I know people, who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to bring in? We just talked about it earlier. We don't have to beat a dead horse, but I don't know. I don't know who you bring in, but you bring in somebody who gets the game. Okay, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer. Do you bring back Luke Fickell? I know everybody, Mike Vrabel. I'd love to see
happy
Vrabel
on the
too, but
sidelines
Vrabel's made it kind of known, basically, without directly saying it, that he dislikes the college game because, the recruiting aspect, going out and recruiting. He doesn't want to do it. He wants to stick around the pros, and I don't blame him. So I don't know who you get, but you got to try and find somebody that gets the game, period. Because if you get somebody who gets the game, then you're going to bring in somebody who's ultimately, it's going to be better results, obviously, not only against Michigan, but just in general. You brought in Jim Tressel. Granted, yes, out of 3 national championships, he only won 1, but that was against a Miami team that was defending national champs, and we're on like a 33, 34 game win streak. And you brought in Urban Meyer, who won a natty as well and never lost in the game. Jim Tressel was technically 8-1, but if you want to include that 2010 game that they had to forfeit, he was 9-1. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I can tell you right now, it really feels like we're watching John Cooper all over again. And John Cooper had a hell of a career as Ohio State's head coach. He had a ton of great players come through the program during his tenure. And the same goes for Ryan Day. He's won a lot of big games. His overall record is great. And he's had a lot of great players so far under his tenure. But why'd you get fired, John Cooper?
Did he get fired? Didn't he step down?
No, he got fired. Straight up. See ya. Bye.
He still comes around. He's still welcome, though.
Oh, yeah. He was in the press box Saturday or yesterday. Yeah. Every game he's in the press box. But, yeah. So, but why'd you get fired? Why'd you get
Couldn't
fired?
beat Michigan. Couldn't win the Big Ten.
Right. He split the Big Ten title. Split. Not outright win. Split 3 times in his 13 years. And we all know the record against Michigan. And he, postseason games, he was pretty woeful in the bowls. 96 Rose Bowl was his big accomplishment as far as postseason. That was his big accomplishment in bowl games.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at right now with Ryan Day. And
we'll see
Ryan,
what happens.
You better go out and, like I said, at the very least, make the national championship game.
I mean, if he wins
the title, lose, make it competitive to keep your job.
If he wins the title, all's kind of forgiven.
Of course. He wins a national title, and everybody will be like, well, all right. Hey, yeah, Big Ten championship, whatever. Beat Michigan, whatever. We won the national title. We're national champions. So
we'll see what happens, man. But I think we can wrap it here.
Yeah.
I'm really tired of talking about that. I don't want to relive this trauma anymore.
Yeah, well, this is I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So next step we can just hope for is getting into the playoff, drawing a favorable first game, and going from there. So
yep. Well, we will be back here next week, though. We'll talk about the Big Ten championship game.
Yep.
Overreactions. We're going to see how things really shake up with the playoffs. I mean, it might be just see what happens. Got Oregon, Penn State. We got Texas, Georgia. We got SMU, Clemson. Those are the big 4 games, right? Did I just say? Did I forget anybody?
The Big 12. Who's in the Big 12? I don't even know.
I don't even know. Don't really care.
Actually,
I'm still like I'm still being a prima donna. Well, a baby about this game. We got UNLV, Boise, Iowa State, Arizona State.
Wow. It went from BYU, Colorado to Iowa State, Arizona State. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. So think about that. Put that on for size. Iowa State and Arizona State. They've each got what? 2, 3 losses?
They're 10-2.
Okay, they're 10-2.
Then we got a 3-loss Clemson against 1-loss SMU. And then we got a 2-loss Georgia versus 1-loss Texas.
So here's the thing. Let's quickly. Okay, a 10-2 or technically 11-2 Arizona State, 11-2 Iowa State. One of those are going to get in, right? Automatically in to the playoff. So whoever loses is out. So at least the Big 12 is getting in one team. However, Texas loses to Georgia again, and they both have 2 losses.
They're both
Does Texas still get in at 11-2?
Yeah.
Okay, they're in. Georgia's in. Arizona State or Iowa State are in. There's 3.
We got Indiana.
Boise State right now sounds like they're in.
Indiana.
Clemson wins. They got 3 losses. They're in. And then do you put in SMU with 2 losses?
Maybe not.
I mean,
OSU definitely deserves to be in it. They beat Indiana, Penn State. I mean, they lost by a total of 4 points this year.
I get it, man. I get it.
I mean, I know we all want to go doomer and think, well, we don't deserve to play because we lost to Michigan. But bottom line is Ohio State they've been number 2 all year. They just beat the number 5 team, dominated them. And then they come out, have a shitty performance. I mean, look at Georgia and Georgia Tech. I mean, Georgia got embarrassed by Ole Miss. Georgia also lost to a team that had no business beating them. Who was it?
Alabama.
Oh no, yeah, Bama was. Yeah, I guess they're the only team that lost to good teams in the SEC. I think OSU's lucky because I mean, like Georgia should have lost to Georgia Tech. They got lucky to come back, and Georgia Tech. It was a great game. 8 overtimes. It's tight this year. It's really tight this year.
It is.
It's Michigan was on the up. They had good momentum, and they've had our number for the last 4 years. That team is still beat Ohio State. So, and I don't know how and why we decided to play their game, but we did. But whatever. Anyway, guys, I'm on X. Slash me and follow me on X. I'm at your sample. Then we got Andy's Wired. And then you can also follow Columbus Wired, which is Columbus_Wired. We will not be at the Woody this week. I don't know when the next press conference will be, probably before the playoff game. But we will be back here next week. Hopefully we won't be such doomers.
Well, they'll probably call a last minute press conference on Sunday after the selection show.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be like a Sunday at the Woody.
Okay.
So what time that'll be, I don't know. But
we'll be there.
2:00.
So maybe we'll do a live from the Woody, and then we'll do a podcast that day too, or we'll just do a Wednesday or a Sunday at the Woody. Since we
might just do a Sunday at the Woody. Yeah.
We're recording
do that instead. Yeah.
But I'll have a clean office. I did give you guys a sneak peek of how messy my office is, so I'll have a clean office next time. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do something positive for yourself. The world's not over just because the Buckeyes lost. Do something positive for yourself, all of our listeners. It stinks, but listen, it's life goes on.
It's true. True that.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you another episode soon.